Hey, what's up, Improvement Warrior? Jason Yun, back with you again. Welcome to the inaugural webinar for Improvement Warrior University. And we're going to get right into these. So this first webinar is all about leptin. And there's going to be multiple parts to this. This is part one. Let me share my screen, pull it up here. And here we go. All right, so I'm gonna shrink my face. So unfortunately, I know a lot of people who are just on here to look at my face, but we're gonna close it out so we can go over the information and you cannot be distracted. All right, so I am gone and this is it. So we're going over this. This is obviously part one, leptin, the master hormone. Some of you might not even have heard of leptin, and we're going to go over it. This part one is basically just introducing you to what it is and everything. Part two is what to do, because if this one's going, are you leptin resistant and you don't even know it? Okay, so let's find out if you are leptin resistant or not. Okay, so, all right, so what is leptin? Leptin is a hormone that was discovered in 1994. It is made from fat cells in the body. 1994 that's pretty recent, so 24, 25 years ago. And so that, to me, that means we don't know everything that we should know about the body. And about the brain and about all the hormones. Because if we just discovered the master one 25 years ago, then that means what else haven't we discovered? But we do know a lot, and this leptin discovery has become part of the key to helping settle obesity and the key to fixing and reversing obesity and a lot of other diseases, because you'll find leptin is connected with those. All right, so leptin regulates hunger and appetite and also energy. Energy is key because with no energy, there is no life, really. So energy is all about life. It's about doing or gaining energy from the things that we do so we can do more of the things we want to do. But if we have no energy, then we don't want to do the things that we need to do to improve our life. Okay? So we want energy, 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 and we want to get away from things that are going to sap our energy. So leptin resistance is going to sap your energy. Okay, it also controls fertility and selects the immature egg cell in the ovary for fertilization every month. So this is basically humans' determinant in our overall plan for expansion and continuing on as a species. If you're leptin resistant, then that's going to be a major problem, okay? As we'll talk about here pretty soon. It controls the action and release of all other hormones made in the brain, adrenal cortex, the thyroid gland, and the gut. So pretty much every hormone that you have heard of and not heard of, leptin is in control of it. Okay, so also links to your endocrine system. So everything is pretty much in there, or hormones. And again, it's the conductor of your energy metabolism. So if you are leptin resistant, your energy probably sucks, or it might feel like it's okay, but you just don't know what having ultimate energy is all about. And that's what we're going to help you do, become leptin sensitive. All right, what is leptin part two? Okay, so leptin is in all fat cells. The fatter someone is, the more leptin you have. Okay, but that's not necessarily a good thing, because if you're leptin resistant, then you need more and more and more to do what normally should be done. So we want to be leptin sensitive. So it's kind of the same thing as insulin resistance. If you're insulin resistant, you need more and more insulin to do the same job that should be done with less insulin. Okay. And it controls satiety in the brain. So it tells you you're full, basically. If you eat too much or the wrong foods, then the brain basically becomes blind to leptin signals. And that's when you become leptin resistant. Okay, it can happen for some people very quickly, and some people it happens over time, over a period of years, a period of decades. Okay, and the worst foods that you can eat is basically the standard American diet, so high carbohydrate, low fat, low cholesterol, and PUFAs, so polyunsaturated fatty acids, or sorry, polyunsaturated fatty acids. So those are going to be, the worst are going to be the vegetable oils, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, okay, all the bad stuff. Stay away. That's the worst food you can actually put in your body, is the PUFAs. All right, so normal levels of leptin are 4 to 9 nanograms per milliliter. Obese people are usually over 10, and if you have fertility issues or anorexic, you're usually less than 4. Okay. All right, and you first get the leptin from the colostrum from your mom when you were first born and you're breastfeeding. So if you did not breastfeed immediately when you were born, that is a issue, okay? Because research shows that DNA as well is affected, as well as your leptin levels, because there's a chemical process that alters DNA called methylation, and that's one way obesity can be sent across generations of your family. So, yeah, definitely want to, well, you can't go back and change that. So just ask your mom and make sure, because otherwise you might have some other issues that might pop up. Okay, what else does leptin control and modulate? Leptin is basically, it controls and modulates your immune system in the brain, modulates all inflammatory cytokines associated with visceral fat. Visceral fat is the worst fat that you can have. It's the fat in your, basically in your belly, stuck around all the organs inside you. So the organs inside there can't do their job as well. So it's the most inflammatory fat that you can have. And all disease processes start through inflammation. Okay. It's also it precludes high blood pressure because it destroys a protein called amylin in your pancreas, and beta cells in your pancreas make insulin. Okay. And so high levels of leptin also can lead to type 2 diabetes. Because leptin destroys amylin, which causes beta cells to eventually stop making insulin. And the longer you wait, the greater the chances of type 2 diabetes increase from there. Okay. All right, so leptin resistance. Leptin resistance alters brain signaling. Brain is the master controller of you, so if your brain isn't working properly, something in your body isn't working properly, and henceforth you are not working correctly. All right. Inflammation, where leptin enters the brain, that's the circumventricular organs. And the number 1 CV is at the median eminence of the pituitary gland. So connection between the pituitary and the hypothalamus are huge in terms of leptin resistance. Okay. So leptin enters your brain and sets off a group of neurons that will basically modulate your energy status for the rest of your life. So that's the importance of the breastfeeding and getting the leptin first thing through the colostrum. It sits right over in a set of nerves that goes straight to your eye. It's about 5 inches back, and it's about the size of a pea. All right, your eye is the most important area in your body for your health. Okay? And we'll discuss a lot more about that here soon. Not in this series, but in other series. I talk more about that in the 10 Pillars of Health webinar, which actually just became 13 Pillars of Health. So be sure to watch that. Do not skip that webinar if you care about your health. All right. If leptin cannot enter the brain, it can't tell the energy status of the rest of the body. So it's basically like driving to LA with a broken fuel gauge. You don't know how much gas you have left. So you constantly have to be refueling. Okay? And if you wait too long, you run out of gas. And usually when you are leptin resistant and you're refueling all the time, you're refueling with the wrong fuel. All right, so what do we call a human body that is incapable of producing energy? Anyone, we call it a cadaver. Okay, so a dead body. Remember, life is all about energy. All right, leptin, again, controls all energy production in the body. It controls your hormonal response of the brain and all signaling energy generation pathway in the body. It is the master hormone. Okay, and again, massive leptin resistance. You cannot have children. 1 in 8 couples are infertile. So that was back in 2006, 2010. So I'm sure that number has increased as well. Okay, so again, it is the primary controller of our species continuing on, basically. And some people would say, and I would say, we are in an extinction event. And so things need to change rather quickly. Okay, so leptin resistance 2. So there's 2 ends of the worst form of leptin resistance. So that's morbid obesity and anorexia. Okay, so if you're morbidly obese, you have very high levels of leptin. If you're anorexic, you have very low leptins. So you have huge energy stores for the obese and virtually none for the anorexic. Okay, so you could be way too fat or way too thin and be leptin resistant. You can also be fit and healthy and still be leptin resistant. Okay, if that is the case and you just don't know, but you want to know, but we'll go over leptin sensitivity and whether that, not in this part, but in a future part. The best thing to do there is check your blood work. So the best test to see if you're leptin resistant is your reverse T3. That's a competitive, reverse T3 is a competitive inhibitor of T3 and T4. So those are your thyroid hormones. Those are actually made in the liver. Most people don't know that. But leptin resistance completely turns off the thyroid gland, which doesn't allow you to burn fat in your muscles because your metabolism has been lowered. So we call that peripheral muscle leptin resistance. And because of that, some obese people cannot burn fat during exercise. And that's also why the thyroid test is not very valid when you're leptin resistant. So a lot of people have been misdiagnosed with a thyroid condition when it's actually leptin resistance. Okay, and then the other test is ultrasensitive or cardiac CRP levels. Okay, and then organs that rely on energy are also going to be tied to leptin. So your top metabolism organs are your heart, your brain, and bone. So leptin resistance, always osteoporosis is going to follow, and it should be and or degenerative disc disease. Okay, so if you are leptin resistant and you are, it could be as early as your 20s, but definitely in your 30s and 40s, okay, you do have some form of osteoporosis going on. So you need to do something rather quickly before that starts to degrade anymore. Because the number one cause of death after the age of 65 is falls. Okay? And what happens as we age? Bones start to degenerate, osteoporosis, osteopenia. Okay? Let's do something about it. Okay. All right. So if you are leptin resistant and insulin resistant, and you go for a long enough time, then AR, which is adrenal resistance, will develop. And that means your cortisol level is going to be jacked up. Okay, if you keep your cortisol and your insulin levels jacked up for too long, that means something big is coming, one of the big diseases. So diabetes, heart disease, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer's, arthritis, any autoimmune disease, okay, gut issues. All right, so either get ready or do something about it. Okay, and share this webinar out with people that you think need to watch this. Okay, leptin resistance also indicates that you have low vitamin D levels. You should know your vitamin D level because it is one of the key indicators for health. Okay, if it's low, it's telling us you're leptin resistance and you have a bunch of bad things that are going to occur if they haven't already occurred. There's an app. Well, in Ohio, there is no vitamin D from the sun. Most people know vitamin D as the sunshine vitamin. Vitamin D is actually a hormone, though, so it's not actually a vitamin, but we get it from the sun. Okay, where I live in Ohio, we don't get any vitamin D from the sun from November 20th to January 20th. So you have to supplement with it. And you have to have a supplement that is supplementing with D and K and vitamin K. Okay? If you just do vitamin D, you run the risk of calcifying your arteries instead of your bone. Okay, so that's very bad. We don't want that. So I have a blog post going over why D and K need to be together. I'll link that up. There's a supplement I use that has D and K together. I'll link that up somewhere on this page. And the D-Minder app, download it. So it's pretty awesome. You can enter how much vitamin D you supplemented with that day. It'll tell you over the last 30 days how much vitamin D you've gotten. So if you've gotten 100% over the last 30 days, it'll tell you that. If you've gotten 130%, it'll tell you that. And when you can make vitamin D from the sun, it'll tell you per minute how much IUs of vitamin D you are making based on how much clothes you have on. Okay, so if your doctor tells you it's 2,000 or 10,000 IUs is the absolute limit, you can tell your doctor he's an idiot or she's an idiot because you can stand in the sun for 10 minutes and make 15,000 IU. Okay, and so it all depends. It depends on where you are. It'll tell you where you're based on your latitude, how much you can make, all that stuff. So it's cool. It will tell you actually when the vitamin D window is open. So get out there, take your clothes off, get that vitamin D. All right, so leptin resistance number 3. All right, leptin resistance, again, causes diabetes. So type 2 diabetes is usually caused by high morning blood sugar and overall high blood sugar. There's an enzyme called PepCK. You can have fun pronouncing that, but it controls gluconeogenesis in the body. And what controls that enzyme? Leptin. Okay, leptin resistance also causes heart disease. Every hormonal disruption seen in leptin resistance is also mirrored in coronary heart disease. So doctors should be looking at your hormone panel in addition to your lipid panel, because leptin resistance is going to show up a lot earlier than the heart disease or signs of heart disease showing up. Okay. And so obesity is an inflammatory brain disease. And all diseases are caused by inflammation again. Okay. All right. So conventional wisdom to treat obesity, you've got to eat less, move more, do lots of cardio, follow the standard American diet, high carb, low fat, low cholesterol, as prescribed by the alphabet soup agencies, government agencies, FDA, USDA, AHA, ADA, et cetera, and also avoid the sun. Okay. We'll be talking a lot more about the sun as well, and especially in the 13 pillars of health. Okay. More conventional wisdom to treat obesity is more than likely your doctor will prescribe one of these drugs, and more than likely you'll be on more than one of them, because just taking one of them will cause side effects that will cause you to get on something else or something not on this list. But these are pretty much the top 10 most prescribed stuff. So you got the cholesterol, you've got the thyroid, you've got the anxiety, sleep, metformin, high blood sugar, all that stuff is in there. Okay? And you should never be on a drug for the rest of your life, although your physician would like that, because that basically makes you a customer for life. Okay? My goal is to get people off of the drugs as soon as possible, because it is messing up the gut. It's also messing up the brain. It's messing up the natural hormonal response that we are perfectly capable of. Okay, so we don't see hippos and tigers coming into doctors getting a prescription for a statin drug because they have high cholesterol. All right, so yeah, that's one of my big pet peeves is. So let's get off that stuff and get yourself better, because if you are on one of these or on multiple of these, fixing your leptin resistance is going to be virtually impossible. Okay, so basically all the above equals slim chance to get healthy and lose weight. Okay, and most of the drugs, they're given to treat symptoms. They're not given to treat the cause. Okay, so we need to treat the cause and make you healthy again, because a healthy person will not be on any drugs. Okay, and increased cortisol levels is the reason that people get on drugs, because remember, all diseases stem from inflammation, and if your cortisol levels are increased, that means your stress levels are up. That means your inflammation levels are up. So if leptin resistance and insulin resistance go on long enough, and that leads to the adrenal resistance, that leads to the cortisol issues. Okay, so when insulin, cortisol chronically up in the air or chronically elevated, then your chances for those big diseases are going to come in. Okay? And obesity is chronic high cholesterol, high cortisol, high insulin resistance, and high leptin resistance. Okay. All right, so that is the end of part 1. And then part 2, we're going to get into the leptin reset. So what to actually do to fix your leptin and make you leptin sensitive. Okay. And then part 3, I've already planned it out, is going to be the hormone cascade. So what happens when leptin goes haywire, and what happens to all the other ones, and how it affects everything. And you'll see how everything is connected. Okay, but that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll just share. Come back. All right. So that is it. Thank you very much for watching. Again, share this out with anybody that you think needs to watch it. Watch it again. There will be an audio down below, so you can download it, listen to it as you're driving. Make your automobile a automobile university. Okay? But this one is for your health. Improvement Warrior University, for your health, and for the health of your family, and for the health of everyone that you care about. Okay? Otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Have a great day. Stay strong, stay positive.